Good afternoon, and I am back with a Fuentes Fit Tip. This one is also on mindset, and it's our triggering thoughts. So if you have been on and off diets for most of your life, or let's say you were just an athlete that had to make a weight class, there are times when you've had to extreme diet. And so binging is something that's pretty common, and it's just not talked about enough, but it's pretty common. And with that comes triggers, that thought right before a binge, right? Or that action. Okay, for me, it's more thoughts than anything else. But these are my 4 binge triggering thoughts or actions that I have definitely recognized, and I am now making sure that I pay attention to these so that it doesn't happen again. And eventually it'll just get easier and easier, right? So number 1 for me is all or nothing thinking. So if I get into the mindset of, well, I have to be perfect, and if I'm not, then it's all over. I might as well just start tomorrow. That all or nothing thinking for me leads to binging, because I'm like, well, I've messed up, so let me just have whatever I want. And in reality, you're making the situation worse. So it really doesn't make sense in the long run, right? So patience, being impatient is a trigger for me. So I have to practice patience, because sometimes I get in my head, well, if I do this or that, it could be the lion diet, or it could be fasting. Something like a quick fix is a trigger for me if I start thinking about doing that, because I know how to drop weight fast, maybe for a trip or for a photo shoot. But is that really going to be sustainable? And it's also going to get in my head with back to number 1, that all or nothing, and I'll just want to eat whatever I can now because tomorrow I have to be perfect. Or maybe at the end of that extreme measure, I'll binge because I've suppressed for so long, right? So 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. And 3 is really reminding myself that one day doesn't matter, okay? Because if you do slip up, it's okay. So one day doesn't matter. It's really the average. What are your average calories and activity for the week? That matters more than just one day where you might not have been on plan, okay? And number 4 for me is sleep. So not getting enough sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, that can maybe lead to things stressing you out more than normal throughout the day, which will leave you mentally and physically exhausted, and then you'll just want to sit down and eat whatever's in front of you. So getting adequate sleep. For some people, that's 8 or 9 hours. For me, it's just 6 or 7 sound hours of sleep, and I'm good. So know your triggers and or triggering thoughts. I forgot to add, there are trigger foods. So for me, it's more, I've realized more of a mindset, but trigger foods exist. So if you know that you cannot stop eating ice cream, you have to have the whole entire quart, well, then don't have ice cream in the house, right? Or for you, if it is potato chips and you can't control that, time and time again, you're like, oh no, I just ate the whole bag. Well, then you might not want to have that in the house. So addictive foods or triggering foods exist as well. So pay attention to that, and you'll definitely be good. But for me, I think that if your mindset is right, then those foods will be less tempting to binge on. So there you go. That is my Fuentes Fit tip for today. Know your triggering thoughts and or actions or foods.